Welcome, everybody. The name of this presentation is The Last Transformation. And today I'm going to talk to you about AI's transition from curation to generation. Now, I know a lot of people in this room think that AI began on November 30th, 2022. I can promise you that it didn't. Probably started in the 50s with perceptron. How many people here, and I have to just block my view here, how many people here use ChatGPT? How many of you have the paid version? Be honest. Okay, the rest of you, got to pony up. It's $25 a month. At the moment, it's the GOAT. And if you're not using it every single day and it's not open on your desk every single day, then a lot of the things I'm going to talk to you about today are going to make no sense whatsoever. But trust me, the fact that it doesn't make a lot of sense to you does not mean that it doesn't make a lot of sense to other people. And when we talk about AI taking jobs, they don't mean AI is taking your job. They mean people who use AI better than you do are going to take your job. So please, everybody, I don't care which one you use. You could go to Meta AI. It's free. That's brand new. It came out over the weekend. It's a web interface. You can go to meta.ai and get that. You can go to Anthropic's Claude Opus 3. That's another model. You can go to Gemini, Google's Gemini 1.5, another model. There are lots of models, about 150 AI models out there you can choose from. The reason I'm telling you to go to OpenAI is because at the moment it does more of everything you actually need it to do in your business than anything else. Copilot, Gemini for workspace, doesn't matter. The ChatGPT for Teams tool, and I don't make any money from OpenAI, is where you want to be. So let's take this date, November 30th, 2022, and put it in perspective. This is the date that OpenAI released ChatGPT into the wild, and a lot of people do believe this was the first day of AI. It wasn't, but it was a very, very, very important date. It is, in fact, the CG boundary, the curation generation boundary. Prior to November 30th, 2022, if you went to the public web and you went searching for anything, there was a 99.9% chance that whatever you found was created completely and entirely by a human hand. Even the most computer-generated thing you would see, somebody sat there and urged the computer to do what they needed it to do. Post November 30th, 2022, we are now into the generative era. In fact, we're past 1 year into it. Doesn't matter where you go search, you are no longer guaranteed to find human-only content on the public web. And every single day past November 30th, 2022, there's less and less of a chance that humans are actually 100% involved. Now, this all started, you know when it started, with your autocomplete on your iPhone. If you're using Gmail or Outlook and it autocompletes, well, now it does more than that. Word with Copilot will autocomplete. Take something like literally just summarizing a meeting. Copilot does that perfectly. ChatGPT does that perfectly. Every single tool that you could possibly imagine that's out there is putting words in your mouth, and then you're sending those emails out. And those emails and the documents you create, they're just part of this massive new synthetic body of knowledge. Humans are no longer the sole writers of human history. I want to take you back 3,500 years. This is the Great Theater in Ephesus. How many of you have been there to the Great Theater in Ephesus? Anybody? It's right out. It's called the Lost City of Ephesus. Clearly, it is lost because none of you have been there. It's strange. It's outside of Kuşadası, Turkey. An awesome place to be. Now, there are four theaters there. They're not amphitheaters. There are 4 theaters there, starting at 7,000 seats and going all the way up to 21,000 seats, 28,000 seats actually. And why are there 4 theaters outside of Ephesus? Well, every single night, every single person in the town was entitled to go see an oration, a political debate, a concert, a comedy, a tragedy. You would recognize this theater as a theater you would go to today. The seats are numbered. There's indoor and outdoor. There's indoor plumbing and concession stands here at the Great Theater in Ephesus. Now, every single night, 3,500 years ago, when this was a bustling theater, they needed to do something to get you to pay attention in the theater, whether it was a political debate, whether it was an oration, whether it was a comedy or a tragedy or a musical concert. That event was curated, word for word, sequence for sequence, and it was curated for one and only one metric: engagement. Now let's fast forward 3,500 years to right now. We are still 100% governing our success for one and one metric only: engagement. Go to the TikTok news feed. Right person, right time, right place, right message. Facebook, right person, right time, right place, right message. Amazon, right thing to buy, right person, right time, right message. Netflix, same. We are experts at curating. We curate. Now, what does that require us to do? Well, first you need to create. I have to create whatever it is I'm going to curate. I'm going to spend a lot of time and energy doing it. I could spend millions of dollars curating something, and then I need to describe it. Because just making it doesn't help me. Not in our world. We live in a digital world. I need to describe this. So that's metadata, the data that describes data. If you're wondering about metadata, imagine you have your iPhone with 1,000 songs on it. And now that's useless unless you have the metadata that describes what songs they are. So metadata is in many cases more important than data. If I look at this image and I say, well, this is an ancient ruin, that's true. But it's not just an ancient ruin, it's the great theater in Ephesus. It's also outside of Kuşadası, Turkey. It's also a theater. Some might call it an amphitheater. I did accidentally a minute ago. It's not an amphitheater, it's just a theater. So mislabeling this is going to make it impossibly hard for me to find, impossibly hard for me to surface. Metadata is as important and difficult to create as data. And then I have to use all my ambient data. I have to use behavioral. I have to use my CRM data, my batch data. I need all kinds of data to help me surface what I've curated. And then if I can match the metadata to the data that I have, I can match them up and right person, right place, right time, right message. We are great at that. And the TikTok newsfeed is probably the best ever created. It will addict you in under a week. If you haven't used TikTok, please don't. But if you do use TikTok, I'm sorry. And there are self-help groups available for you as well as encounter groups if you're fully addicted. This is what we've been doing. We're great at it. It is expensive. We know how to do it. This is relatively new. This is a piece of artwork that was created in advance of the Colorado State art competition, digital art competition, in September of 2023. And Jason Allen created this particular piece using some digital tools, and he entered it in the competition, and it won. There's only one problem. All of the digital artists went crazy when they found out how he did it. Instead of actually creating this in Procreate or Adobe Illustrator or with any other art program, Photoshop, what have you, he just described this to Midjourney. Midjourney is a text-to-image diffusion model, and it creates images in near or at real time for very low or no cost. At the time, Midjourney was free, and so this took about 90 seconds to create. He entered it and it won, and they felt it was unfair. A couple things about this. Not only was it no or low cost, near or at real time, it's also uncopyrightable. The U.S. Copyright Office says in Article 1 of the Constitution, Section 8, Clause 8, that you as a human being are entitled to copyright protection. It does not offer those protections to machines. So while this could infringe on somebody's copyright, you cannot own the work product and protect it yourself under copyright law. This is going to become a very big issue. It's already becoming a big issue, and it is unlikely to be solved by the Copyright Office. It is or the Congress. It's most likely to be solved when it's adjudicated in court. Today we're going to talk about 3 things that I think are super important. There are a million different ways to talk about generative AI. There's a lot of big feelings about training and copyright. There's a lot of big feelings about whether it's good enough or it's not good enough. Stop all that. I want you to think about all of this with no jargon whatsoever, and I want you to think about one word: super automation. One word, no hyphen, super automation. What we're talking about today is taking cognitive, non-repetitive tasks that human beings do, white-collar work, and automating them. There are 3 buckets we're going to talk about: productivity, talking to data, and new products. So we're going to start with productivity. Everybody gets this now who wants it for $30 a month. Microsoft put out Copilot, it's $30 a month. Google has Gemini, it's $30 a month. ChatGPT for Teams is $30 a month unless you buy a package, in which case it's $25 a month. Anybody who wants this tool set, anybody who wants generative AI as an augmenter or an assistant or a Copilot gets it. There is zero competitive advantage to this. This just becomes table stakes. Everybody needs to know how to use it and know how to use it well. There's only one way to differentiate your team from every other team everywhere in the world, and that has to do with augmenting your workflow and process. So we can talk about who and what we are and who and what we can do with these tools, but the more you put into it, the more you're going to get out of it. And we're going to talk about 3 different ways this works. One is your subject matter expertise is absolutely the most important thing. A lot of people think that AI is a skills democratizer where everyone's going to have this capability they never had before. It's true. If you've never made a picture and you type a description into Midjourney or DALL-E, it will give you a picture and it's going to be beautiful and it's going to be something well beyond your skill. But everybody has the same skill now. It's fully just commoditized, and it's not going to be that good and it's not going to be that interesting. It could be, but it probably won't be. But if you are really good at your job, and I mean really good at your job, then these tools are going to make you 50 times more productive, and that's not hyperbole. If you're good at your job, Harvard says you're going to become 40% more productive at your job, and if you suck at your job, you are still going to suck. And there is nothing that this tool set is going to do to help you. Nothing. So do not even consider this as a one-button press, it does my work. It is the farthest thing from one-button press, and it does my work. Anyone who even has a notion of that, you are going to be rudely and sadly awakened when somebody who knows how to use this, who is a subject matter expert, comes in and uses it to become a lot more productive. There is almost no point in just augmenting productivity, almost no point, unless you're going to innovate workflow and process at the same intensity and at the same pace that the tech is being innovated. This is coming every single day, every morning. For those of you who don't know, this morning, ChatGPT announced that their memory function is now available to everyone. What does that mean? It means that it will hold specific statistics and specific things that you often care about in memory across chats and across your team. This has been a big problem for a long time because the context window, which is the window that you chat into, has a memory and it tends to forget after it gets to a certain point. The consumer grade versions of large language models, especially in the chat clients, you have to kind of remind them. They get very forgetful, and now OpenAI has changed that. What does that mean to you? If you haven't used the tool, you don't know how important this is. I'm begging you. Today was a monumental improvement in GPT-4 Turbo in its interface into ChatGPT, and if you're not in it, you don't understand what it is. People who have been in this for a year just got a boost of another 10%, 15% of productivity. And you don't know about it. Fix that. You can fix it. Everyone in this room can fix that for yourselves. Now, when we're talking about workflow and process, we've all seen this. This is a basically marketing Gantt chart to get a performance marketing campaign out the door. And the goal here is really simple. You create a brand brief, and from this brand brief, you're going to have some copy written, and people are going to approve it. Does it have the right tone of voice? And let's go back and forth to the agency, and then you get some artwork done. And you know the process. We've all done this. This can take a week. It could take a day. It could take 6 weeks. It could take 18 months. It all depends what your thing is. But this is what we've been doing for years. This is a 50-year-old process. No. You would never, ever, ever just slap productivity onto this. There's no point. What you would do is you completely revise the workflow and process. So here I reduce the brand brief into variables. Product and service equals this, advantages equal that, the customer persona equals the next thing, testimonials are here, problem is here. What I'm doing is I'm constraining the model. I'm literally constraining the model so that it won't, in quotes, hallucinate. I'm giving it the data I want it to have. And then I'm going to say, you know what, there are known marketing frameworks. Here are just a few. There are probably 20, 30 of them. PASTER, 4 C's, conviction, action, features, advantages, benefits. Once I choose a framework, or if I don't know my framework, or I don't have one that I like, I can take 4 or 5 of my best pieces of marketing copy that perform the best and ask the model to analyze them and tell me what the name of the framework is or what I should name my custom framework. And then I'm going to create what looks like a mail merge. It's not a mail merge. It's nothing like it at all. This is a prompt. Now the pre-prompt is all of those variables and maybe some other information about the company. And here I'm going to say, using this particular framework, I want you to write an email marketing campaign that highlights our features and our products and services, and it's going to actually start doing it. So here's the process laid out, right? We're going to input the variables. This is just doing it in good old-fashioned ChatGPT. You can do this yourself at shellypalmer.com/AI. There is an entire page of resources. There's an article there called Creating Marketing Copy with ChatGPT. It will take you right through this. You're going to literally input the features and benefits and all of your variables. Then you're going to ask it to use a framework. and create the email. And then in a moment, this is going to just start generating the email. And what you're going to see is marketing copy written in this particular framework, features, advantages, benefits. That's about as good as any copywriter would do. Now, a lot of copywriters in this room are going to look me straight in the eye and go, no, I'm human and I'm awesome and I'm creative and this is a machine and it can't know anything. It's like, yeah, it knows a lot. It knows everything in the brand brief. It knows 100% of the variables you've told it. It's constrained in language and tone, and it's working on a known marketing framework. And here's the thing, person. If it doesn't work, there are 35 other frameworks that might work that I could then instantly, at no or low cost, in near or at real time, surface in front of my target audience until that particular audience has satisfied my conversion metric, my OKR, or my KPI. This is a completely different way to think about how you would reduce a brand brief to a marketing campaign. Instead of taking days or weeks or months, it's going to take minutes. This is where productivity really starts to shine. You take your productivity tools and you innovate workflow and process with the same intellectual rigor and the same intensity. The other thing we wanted to talk about is talking to data, and I'll just quickly move through this. How many of you here have dashboards for your business? I'm sure most of you, and many of you probably get reports on a regular basis that come also out of the data that is proprietary to your business. And everybody here knows that when you want to change a dashboard, what are you going to do? You're going to call up your data office if you have one, or a programmer if you have one. You're going to say, look, I need my dashboard augmented. I need you to change my report. I want to see these columns and these rows. I need to see this thing on the dashboard. But what if I could sit you at a chat client and you as a subject matter expert had the opportunity to simply ask a question of your database? You literally could talk to your data. What would that look like? Our friends at the NHL have let us use this particular example. They have 100 years, literally 100 years of hockey plays in a database. And this tool from Pramana called Shift is a natural language translation model. And what it does, you can see it's asking what has the longest active road goal streak in regular season games. And you can see underneath it, every question that looks like that is also showing up as you're typing this in. Now, importantly, what it's going to do is it's going to surface all of the data that answers this query. It's also going to turn it into the lower third for the television show. It's going to turn it into, you'll see it pop up in a second. There's the William Nylander, Toronto Maple Leafs, and Joel Eriksson. It's telling you exactly who's who. It's giving you every bit of other stat that is even close to answering your query. Then you can see it in every form factor and every format. Now, what we did with a large language model to the outside of this is we decided to make it really fun. So instead of looking at it in pure text, you can tell the model you're acting as a color commentator. You're acting as a play-by-play announcer. You're acting as a coach. You're acting as a trainer. Here's the setup for the game that you would give to the broadcasters. And so we're able to create entire new ways to interface with the database using natural language. It's, like I said, as a transformation layer. It can't hallucinate. It's 100% the NHL's data. It's just using the large language model simply and only to access the data. Remember, you cannot ask a why question of data. You can't say, why did sales go up last month? You can say, what is the difference between last month's sales and the previous month? You can ask any question that begins with what. What's the last day I can sell a full-priced widget before I have to mark it down, transship it, or send it back to the manufacturer? From that, you can gain your insights if you are a subject matter expert. But talking to data, if you can ask a question that begins with what, you are well ahead of the game. Lastly, building new product. So this is StoryScript. It's an app that I wrote before ChatGPT actually became a consumer product. This was based on DaVinci 3, a very early piece of code from a large language model from OpenAI. And what this does is you choose your story, you choose your canon, Star Wars, Harry Potter, Lord of the Rings, doesn't matter, and Marvel Comics, DC Comics, and you also choose the age of your child. And what this will do is it will create, in this case it's going to choose, I think, a 10-year-old, it's a video. This is going to create 3 completely original Star Wars stories. This is the title and the log line for each. This is known as an autonomous agent, and it's going to write, these are 4 stacked AI models. Let's read the audacious escape. The vast interior of the Imperial Star Destroyer resounded with the rhythmic hum of machinery as Darth Vader stalked through its shadowy corridors. His black cape billowed eerily behind him, an ominous symbol of his dark power. The Force guided him, leading him straight towards a group of Padawans who would defy the Empire's rule. You know ChatGPT 4 doesn't write, ChatGPT or GPT-4 doesn't write like this. This is 4 models. Everything we've talked about up to now has been the idea that we're going to ask a task of the large language model and it's going to do the task. Here, I'm giving it a goal. Write me a bedtime story, and it's doing the whole thing. The 4 models are really interesting. One is GPT-4 Turbo. That's where the canons all live. So if you're worried about copyright infringement, you'll have to go talk to Sam Altman. The next is makes images, and what it does is it creates images out of text to image. The next model after that does voice. And then part of this model also does story arc, so it understands how to arc a story. And the last of the models is a neural network, and the neural network is able to, just like any neural network, figure out what you like and what you don't like, and what works and what doesn't work. This is a completely new product, a different way to tell stories, a different way to interface with data, and you can make new products in every manner, shape, or form. Obviously, in this world, we're going to be doing data-driven content, whether it's 2D or 3D, XR, MR, VR, AR, it doesn't matter. We're going to use these data sets to craft these things. We are literally going to be in a world of data-driven content in near or at real time for no or very, very low cost. Yeah, web traffic is in trouble, there's no question. If you haven't tried Perplexity AI, I hope you will. This is the future of search. Google's going to have an answer for this. I don't have time to go into it, but you definitely should. Go to Perplexity AI and just do a search you do on Google, and you're going to see, you'll have an experience you won't get anywhere else right now. Is big tech the future of AI? Is a good question. The answer is yes and no. Yes, the biggest compute clouds need to be done by big tech, but there are really small compute clouds that go into your phone, and Apple's going to come out with one in a couple of weeks, and then we're going to know the future of AI. Amazon's going to actually make Alexa better. You know Siri can't suck forever. Until these guys get this together, we really can't talk about the future. Last thing I'm going to leave you with, yes, OpenAI was the fastest to 100 million, no question about it. The stickiest app in all of AI is Character AI. People are spending 2.5 hours a day at the top of the top quintile. Here you'll talk to fake Paris Hilton, fake Elon Musk, fake boyfriend, fake girlfriend, fake anything. People are preferring to talk to fake and synthetic characters than they are to real people, which is a very strange thing. This is epic. These are completely fake yearbook pictures. Put in 12 selfies, you get a yearbook picture that 30 years from now, when this young lady is a grandmother and her grandkids go, look at that weird picture of grandma from the early 20s. I wonder what she really looked like in 9th grade. We're not going to know. This is completely synthetic. And more importantly, Copy Magazine is all synthetic. This is the copies, the fashion, the people, 100%, all pixels. And I'll leave you with this. This is a virtual influencer named Mia Sophia. She's synthetic, completely 100%, absolutely doesn't exist. She has millions of followers. Everywhere you look, it doesn't matter what social channel, and there are hundreds of thousands of virtual influencers. She's all pixels, but the 13 to 32-year-olds who are living a character AI don't seem to care. Anything I covered today you really want to know more about, shellypalmer.com/AI. Thank you very, very much.